Well, you know what is good is talking about what we got planned.
Yeah.
I thought this was an advertisement. I was about
Oh
to
no.
that. I was about to say that was a hell of a transition.
Well, it kind of is.
It
It's an
kind of is a good
advertisement for something that we find near and dear to our hearts. And you know, Justin mentioned Bardown BreakFest year 1. Well, guess what? We got a Bardown BreakFest
year
year 2.
two.
And
Be
we have it here in the historic Milestone in Charlotte, North Carolina. We got 24 bands playing. 24 bands over 2 days, 2 stages, inside stage, outside stage. It's just going to be bonkers. And it's funny, I reached out to the Milestone, God, it had to be over a year ago, kind of pitching the idea of a pop punk festival in Charlotte. And he's like, hold on. You need to talk to Christian.
Yeah.
And like 2 seconds later, I hit up Christian because Christian already reached out to the Milestone to have a pop punk festival like the exact same weekend I wanted to have a pop punk festival. And it is going to be awesome. Teaming up with them has been nothing but a blast. And I guess, this is really Christian's baby. And we're combining the bar down kind of breakdown fest model as that we had as well. And Christian has a really solid mission for this festival, and it's exactly what we believe in. That's what we did in year 1 of Bardown BreakFest down in Orlando, is to glow the Orlando scene and to bring some attention to what's going on in Orlando. But there's a lot of great things happen here in the Carolinas as well, and that's where I live. And even though I'm older, I still get out to shows as much as I can. And this is Christian and Atticus' scene. They're putting in the work here in Charlotte. So I guess, Christian, why don't you tell us what your vision is for the fest?
So I had run a festival from 2016 to 2018. It was called Mouse Fest, and my band, at the time, 40 Ounce Mouse, we headlined it every year, but it was cancer benefit. The first year was specifically to help my grandma who had gotten diagnosed with lung cancer, and we had, I think it was 15 bands playing in a 2-car garage up in Winston, and different people in the community were like donating food for us to sell and snacks and drinks. And like that first year, just out of a garage, we raised over $1,200.
That's
And
sick.
getting to move forward, we were partnered with Huntsman Cancer Institute and got to work successfully with them for 2 years. But in 2018, we did 2 nights, 2 cities. We did Charlotte at the Milestone, and then the next night we had a whole different lineup in Greensboro at New York Pizza. And that was the first time I ever ran 2 stages at the Milestone, and there was a small stage in the bar side. Now, jump through COVID and everything, and I wanted to do another festival like that. Didn't really know what the cause would be, but I had seen where my other band, Home for the Day, we're kind of not so much directly pop punk, but there's a lot of like hard rock influence as well. And we would get on these festivals where it would be like all the same metal and rock bands, and even helping coordinate one, I would suggest like pop punk bands that were, doing strong in the area. And it was like pulling teeth. And eventually I just got sick of it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a festival myself. I'm going to do it on my birthday. And we're just going to showcase like everybody that isn't getting enough attention in the Carolina scene. And you reached out to me, Mike, and it became something so much bigger than I thought it would be. Like the fact that we're getting to run an outdoor stage at the Milestone now is something I never would have thought would have happened, especially at a place like that, or looking at it before they remodeled. There would have been no room to do an outdoor stage.
Yeah, that was a building. That flat part outside that's just like a patio. That there was a building there. It looks totally different since COVID. Like it's I don't want to say it's not the same place, because it is, of course, but like he said, imagining an outdoor stage there 3 years ago, like, you're crazy.
So Christian, you said this weekend's going to be like your birthday weekend?
June 30th is my birthday, and that's why I reached out to Buck, I think August of last year, and was like, hey, I know this is crazy in advance, but can I get these dates on hold? I want to do another festival. And it wasn't 2 weeks later, I just get a random email from Mike, and I'm like, what is going on? Why does this guy know what I'm doing?
Awesome. So I guess for, some people who might be in the Carolinas or even people that are maybe coming from the, outside of the Carolinas to come to this festival, can you tell us a little bit about the Milestone? Because I've only had the pleasure of going there once, and it just felt like home. But, I don't want to be a poser and say that that's like my stomping grounds, because that was literally the only time I've been there, but I fell in love with it. So I guess since you guys go there all the time and have really, put your stamp on that venue, can you tell us a little bit about the Milestone?
Atticus, I'm sure you and I both have our own sentiment for the venue. Do you want to go first?
So little short bio. I started out as a rapper. I was like rapping in high school and stuff like that. And when I hit like 18, 19 into 20, like nobody would let me play shows. I really, really wanted to play shows. And the hip hop scene's a lot different from the punk scene. And I didn't know at the time because I wasn't around anybody in bands or anything like that. But I had to cut my teeth in Greensboro. So there were like 2 or 3, weekends out of the month. I was driving an hour and a half to Greensboro to play 2 songs where I paid $10 to play. And a friend of mine in a band called It Looks Sad, he's played with Yes Chef. He's played with a bunch of Charlotte bands. He's a real veteran of the scene. His name's Laith Ali. He was on tour in San Diego with It Looks Sad and forgot that he had booked a solo gig at the Milestone. And on like 12 hours notice, he texted me and was like, hey man, I know you've been trying to break into Charlotte and nobody will really let you. I got a date at the Milestone. And I'd heard, pray tell, the big historical significance is Nirvana played the Milestone in 1990.
Yeah.
It's the same, and it's the exact same stage. It's not been like heavily remodeled in the stage area since, it started. So it's got this air of history to it. And, I went and played and I made friends with Buck, and it's because of that I was able to actually cut my teeth in Charlotte. I used to play in a band called Duckbeak, and it was those 2 avenues of not the hip hop thing. It was Duckbeak and it was Buck at the Milestone really opening the door for me in Charlotte. And so when we came back from COVID, it was only right that, the first Seneca show was where we belong. And I really feel like tied to that. There are venues in Charlotte that I won't name that really won't let us play. And it has nothing to do with the business. It has nothing to do with anything. I don't know why we can't play there. But one thing I know for certain is when I email Buck, it doesn't matter if I'm booking a Seneca show. It doesn't matter if I'm booking another band. He responds immediately. And that's what the Milestone Club is to me. It's where we all belong.
Amen.
Yeah.
And Christian, you want to add a little, maybe details or kind of your feelings on the Milestone?
Well, it's something that Atticus mentioned, that show that he got on like day of, because Laith dropped. Had he not gotten on that show, Seneca may not be a thing, because Home for the Day was on that show, and that's how we met Atticus. It was that night, and that just kind of set all of this into motion 4 years ago. But for me,
the night prior, Christian met Matt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, at the Gas House Festival in Gastonia. We played in some guy's backyard, and it was such a long day. Home for the Day provided the PA, and the guy still made us play first. and then Peter had to run sound until midnight.
Oof.
That was a rough night, but that was where I got to meet Matt. He was playing in No Rope at the time. But yeah, no, the Milestone, like, I had heard about it when I started getting into the music scene. Like, Winston and Greensboro was all I knew until I got halfway through college, and I was roommates with the guitarist for my first band. And we cut our teeth playing acoustic sets every Friday and Monday at coffee shops in Salisbury and Kannapolis, respectively. And eventually somebody was like, hey, do y'all want to come play as a proper band at the Milestone? And we were actually opening for the fill-ins. And it was just, I felt overwhelmed walking into the Milestone as people were telling me like who all had played there, like Minor Threat, Sebado, Gigi Allen got paid before a show and then took off and never actually played there.
There's a giant Bad Brains graffiti that has a picture frame around it on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's just like, don't touch the Bad Brains graffiti.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
like
cool.
I was like looking over the just the alumni. There's no other word to describe the list of bands that they have on that page, and just seeing Bad Brains, 25 to Life, Sick of It All is played there. You know, all these bands that I grew up to, like, all played this venue, and I was just like so excited. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Christian.
No,
Wait,
you're good.
You're playing Bardown BreakFest, Justin?
Probably.
Yep. Yeah,
But,
you're not allowed to not play. If this continues on and on and on, like, you don't have the option to not play.
No.
Sorry.
The other thing Atticus brought up that I think it's really cool. So Nirvana played there before Dave Grohl was in the band. Well, Dave played there when he was still in his old band called Scream.
Yep.
Did not know that.
Somebody had told me that, and that first night we were there, I just couldn't stop crying through the whole set. I was like, Dave Grohl played on this stage. Like,
And it's funny too, because like if you look at the alumni on the About page on the Milestone website, it'll say like Scream with Dave Grohl, and it'll say Nirvana without Dave Grohl.
Yep. There's also a bootleg vinyl of the part of the Nirvana show that was there, and you can get it like $30 on eBay.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And like one of the things that I totally respected as I was kind of, you know, looking around that night is like there's a bunch of signs that say like the stickers and, you know, like the graffiti and stuff, like that's art. Like, do not put your band sticker over anything that's in this building. Like, the venue's been there since 69 or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it really feels like history. And unfortunately, CBGB closed before I was able to go to shows. Like, it, you know, being a Long Island kid, it was in the city. So like I was going to shows on Long Island, and like none of the bands that I was really like in the pop punk scene playing there. So like it closed before I ever had a chance to see a show there. But you would have to think that the Milestone and CBGB are like comparables, like the amount of history that's gone through those two places.
Oh yeah. No, and we've strived to find the Milestone in every city we go to, because like the immediate parallel, I don't know how far north you guys have been, but like Bug Jar in Rochester is
I love that place.
A1. That place was so cool, and it immediately gave us Milestone vibes when we went inside. And I think the fact that we're searching for that parallel just speaks to the volumes, or speaks volumes to, you know, the pedigree of the venue. It's just great. Like, again, it's where I think everybody belongs.
And it's crazy too, because like venues like that really do not exist very much anymore. We had I grew up in Miami originally. We had a venue called Tobacco Road, which was like one of the oldest jazz clubs in the state of Florida. Like, it was open like the 1920s or something. And I got lucky enough to play like a few jazz sets with like one of my jazz teachers in college there before they closed it. And you something about just like when people say like the walls have history, like you could like feel that history when you walk into the place. And Orlando, we had one venue that was very much like that, and it was Soundbar. It was previous to Soundbar, it was Back Booth, and then previous to Back Booth, it was something else too. But I saw so many of my favorite bands play there in a small setting, and even like when I was able to play there in my high school years when I drove up from Miami to play, it was different. And then once that venue closed, like we lost like a huge piece of our history.
I completely agree. And, you know, it's really, really hard. Like we all fought to save the Milestone over COVID. Like right before COVID, they had a roof collapse in like, was it the bar side of the building, Christian?
I think so.
And they were like trying to get a new roof put on the place and, you know, all these other things. And it was really, really looking like, and, you know, we ran like a benefit that first month and it got like a couple $1,000s and it, you know, bought them some more time to just further cement how much the Milestone means. I don't know who owns the property. I know that Buck owns the intellectual property of the Milestone Club.
Yeah.
But somebody bought the property and basically said, yeah, dude, this place means the world to me. And it's meant the world to me since it started. Like, you guys are going to be here until it falls to the ground.
That's awesome.
Like that is what the Milestone Club means, you know?
And Atticus, this is a little bit before you got involved in that scene, but thinking back to the first couple times I played the Milestone, August of 2016 and March of 2017, like what you're talking about isn't the first time we had to save the Milestone, because the first couple times I played there, we didn't make a dime. Like these shows were all like hashtag save the Milestone on the flyer, and they were just trying to stay afloat. So it's like the first time I actually got to play a show there and we had a good crowd and we made money, it was like, holy shit. Like, okay, so this place is going to be around for a bit now. Like, we know we have it.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit and it was, you know, we were scared we were going to lose it. And Buck kept it afloat, and he's still steering the ship. Like, I'm thankful that the Milestone's there.
Tickets for Bardown BreakFest are going to be available now. Probably right as you're listening to this episode, you can go and scoop them up. I can only imagine, based on the last few Seneca shows, like this is going to sell out pretty quickly. So you're definitely going to want to scoop those tickets for. I highly recommend for both nights. Just get the weekend pass. There's 24 killer bands. A bunch of alumni for Bardown Breakdown are playing. Some of the homies who did the Bardown Break tour are going to be playing. It's got, like I said, all the bands that you need to know from the Carolinas are playing, with a few other specialties sprinkled in there. And some of the bands, I'm going to be completely honest, I wasn't familiar with at first, but like Fernway is now a new favorite of mine. Like, that band is so freaking good. I'm so excited to see them. I'm so excited to see all 24 bands, but like, there's a lot of bands that I've discovered because of this festival that absolutely rip. So if there's some bands that you're not too familiar with that are playing, 100% you need to check them out. Like, Christian crushed the lineup, and you know, like I said, we have some of our Bardown Breakdown homies playing as well. Obviously, couldn't be a festival without Out of Time playing, so super excited to see them again. Just going to be a really special weekend, and I'm so excited to have it here in Charlotte and to bring a little attention to the scene that's going on here. So definitely get those tickets ASAP.
I'm really excited about Fernway. Like, they've been touring since before their name change. They used to be like more easycore, kind of like the second after. They were called Rescue Dawn. And in 2016, we played a house show with them in Greensboro. They were like, yo, every time we come back, like, just help us. So all but like 2 shows Fernway has ever played in North Carolina, I've booked them. And when we did that festival in 2018, they were the only band that was on both nights with 40 Ounce Mouse. They co-headlined. They drove all the way down from Buffalo just to do that. So when I started talking about this festival, their guitarist Jonah hit me up. He's like, how do we make this happen? So it's real special. I love the guys in Fernway.
They're the best guys. They're super sweet. We spent like the majority of the night with them the last time they were in Charlotte, and they stayed at that Matthews house that I mentioned earlier. They're one of the bands that I absolutely hate playing with because there's no way to outshine them
because they're so good.
They're so good. It's just
but there's like 24 bands that are going to be doing that
are of that quality. Like,
yeah, like who's going to come after Frontside? Who's going to come after Condando? Like,
Fernway said they want to follow up Frontside. That's their one condition on playing this. Fernway's taking on Top and Frontside. So,
dude, do you know what it was like playing with Frontside every single night for a week?
I can imagine,
dude. Like it's not even like it's so hard because all of them, Jolly, Walt, Josh, they're perfect every single night. And we did like a elder emo night, like karaoke, not karaoke, but it was like a cover set at a bar, and Walt is hammered. Like
he was like pretty hammered, like sleeping in the parking lot.
Yeah. And he ripped not only like The Crowing by Coheed and Cambria, but they ripped a cover of Even Flow by Pearl Jam. And let me tell you, like, that was the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like, it was just a 3-piece Pearl Jam cover, and he played all the lead guitars, like Even Flow, like everything. And I was just like, I'm like, how? Like, there's no way. Like, I played with these guys for a whole week. It's a dream.
That sounds pretty on par to my first memory of Frontside. Like, I've got to interact with Josh a lot because he's now also in Boy Named Sue. Yep. And it goes back to when those guys were Proper Sleep before Josh was in the band. I've been following them for years. But Frontside, I have seen once, and it was at New York Pizza up in Greensboro. And I distinctly remember Walt getting so blitzed that they got into an argument on stage and he did not finish the set. So I hate to throw him under the bus like that, but that's just like it. You saying he got drunk down there, like that seems pretty par for my memory. They're sweet guys.
We're seeing a common theme here, Walt.
He's finishing the whole
Let's have an intervention. Oh, all right, I guess we got a good story here.
And also, why Weedle out of the original 151?
That's a question for Matt.
Okay.
I don't know why he chose Weedle. That was just the demo title. The demo title was I don't know, man. Weedle was kind of OP. And so we just started calling it Weedle. And as we're writing the lyrics, he's like, no, we got to change that. Cease and desist. I was like, they're not going to cease and desist us for calling the song Weedle. Like, no, we're not using any real intellectual property as our own. It's just, it's a song title. And, we just, it was like, let's keep it Weedle. But the question as to why Matt is so attached to Weedle is a question for Matt. I will parlay that question over to him and get you an answer.
I'll ask him in June.
In time, there you go. But formation of Seneca Burns. Oh my God! So I met Christian Whittington. Hang on. I went to elementary school with John Jenkins, the bass player of Seneca Burns, and we weren't really friends until our senior year of high school. It was just like different, cliques. But we kind of loosely became friends, and then we found ourselves in the same learning community in college. And when you get thrust into that, familiarity is really comfortable. So, I mean, John and I, we didn't really have like a lot of common ground musically, but it was just like we love each other so much. We love video games. We bonded over video games. We showing each other games and stuff like that. We knew there was going to be a project for us one day, and skipping forward through like just, trial and error, drama, everything like that. I had always tried to merge like the hip hop stuff that I was doing with like my love for like Blink-182 and everything like that. You know, I'm enamored with like the Blink-182 fandom, like the Tom DeLonge guitars. Like I've got how many behind me? 3 or 4. I've got 4 behind me and 2 at John's house, you know, and I'm a Blink nut. And I always wanted to incorporate that. And it was just like, I never had any people to meet me halfway there. And so again, fast forward, I met Christian at the Milestone. I met Matt Jarvis, our other guitar player, actually a couple of weeks prior at Skylark Social Club where y'all played.
Yep.
And, you know, it was a very long sort of 9 months between that point and COVID. I mean, it felt like so much happened between like the house shows for Hope and, you know, all the things with the other band Duckbeak, like getting in that and just all this. And when COVID hit, it was like, I really felt like now or never. And so my process for like writing all the hip hop stuff that I made, you know, I was completely self-produced. So I just wrote an EP. And on March 28th, I started writing what would become Do You Know How Bright You Burn? And I went over to the studio that a mutual friend of ours, like he and I had put all our gear together and made a studio and just banged out the demo in a day and spent a considerable amount of the next year, like really hammering these 3 songs down because it was like something's different about these. And I pitched, we're far enough removed and I don't believe anything's going to come of it. So I'll go ahead and drop the name. I've hinted at it before, but I pitched the EP to Cardigan Records, who have had some, you know, success out of sort of the eastern side of North Carolina. And they've had artists come through, like they've been around for a long time. And I was shocked because as often as I got turned down because rapper, they were like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with the rap stuff, but if you put a band around it, like, give us a call. And I was like, I remember my heart was pumping, everything like that. I was actually door dashing on the phone with Christian and Peter from Home for the Day. And I was like, I got to do something. And they were both like, well, dude, like, I know. Christian was just like, if you need me, I'm there. And I was in my head, I was like, John, okay. And I looked to my left in Duckbeak and there was Matt. And he had already expressed desire and wanting to work on these songs because I showed him. So we all got together on, I think it was June 27th of 2021.
I don't know if it was that late because y'all came to my birthday party, which was like 3 days after that. I feel like there were like 1 or 2 practices before.
I know we wrote Jaded on June 27th.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's either or. It was just like, okay, we know what we're doing, we know how we have to do it, but it has to be like this thing. Like it can't just be like an opening bill on another show. And I was like, you know what? I have already told people I don't feel comfortable putting 100% of myself into 2 things. So I didn't take any more solo dates. I took the one that I had with Christian, and I did a favor for a friend in Jordan Zana, who also was in No Rope with Matt. And I didn't take any solo dates. And our first show was a total ruse. I booked it as Atticus Lane's hiatus show. It was the final one, you know, and I had a lot of people that would, you know, come to my shows and stuff like that. So it was saying goodbye to something, and it was the worst kept secret. A lot of people knew, but and there were some people that were like, I'm driving down from Ohio, and I'm like, no, there's another thing. Don't worry about it. Don't just shh, don't do that. Don't do that. And you know, it was my goal. I had some friends in a band called Tetanus, and they were running roughshod on Charlotte. If you want to know who started it, it certainly wasn't us. It was Tetanus. They played Snug Harbor and had people wrapped around the block.
That's sick.
Trying to get in. They were just, and they played for like 9 minutes. They were just loud, fast, and that was it. So I went to all their shows and hung out with them. Pierce, the bass player, was like one of my best friends. And we just game planned this, and I met people and I shook hands, and, very cringeworthy, very, very hard to do as somebody who internally is kind of shy and is scared of being rejected. But if you get a chance, please come to the show. I promise it's going to be worth it. I promise it's going to be worth it. Just entrepreneurial, one by one.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I'm very proud to say, as a rapper on the bill, sold out the Milestone.
Nice.
First show, very first show. And we headlined it, and we curated the lineup. We asked a few other people, but the lineup was what it was supposed to be. It was the handoff, come clean in the second after. And I'm very glad, because I truly made family that night. I feel like I did. And just from that point on, it's been like, I don't know. It felt like up until that point, almost a little bit of like people pitying. So they just came out of pity. But once they realized that it was like, I'm just pulling people that I like here. And if I like you, that means the other person may like you. Like, a lot of people have made friends at Seneca shows. And so, there was that. We played the homecoming show. We did a tour. It was literally Christian like leveraged the tour off of Home for the Day's pedigree, which well deserving of a tour. But if I remember correctly, there was some of it he had to leverage off of the Atticus Lane pedigree, because you haven't played a show, you have no music, you want to tour. Yes, we do. So we sold out our first show. 6 weeks later, we were on the road for 12 days playing 12 nights.
When I was booking that run, there were a couple venues that just straight up told me no, because Seneca had nothing. They're like, you're bringing a nobody band with you. We don't want it. And there were other venues that were like, okay, why? Like, why should we do this? And I was like, just trust me. And a couple of those venues pulled through and let us do our thing. But like, that was a tough job.
And that was a tough ask of me. I never want to act like this band is a me thing. And that was what I told them coming from solo stuff. And for me to ask that of Christian, that meant so much to me as a person, because it's like, he believes in what we're doing. It's no, of course not. Why would you go on tour that early? Well, it's like, we know we have a vision, and we have like a feeling, and we have what we're going to do, so we released the first song with the first show. We released the second song, had the videos for them. They were incrementally doing well and better than the last. And it's just like the last year has been this trial and error of us kind of holding true to our word, but also like finding new things along the way, finding new people, meeting people. And it's like every conversation that I have with Christian, which is like 3 times a day, it's like, I don't know what we're doing next, but whatever it is, I know it's going to be fun. I know we're going to enjoy it. I know it's going to mean something. And we have so many great things over the horizon. Like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, what I should say. I've always tried to be super transparent about stuff, but we're playing this all ages venue because there's a bunch of kids who, we try to provide a safe space so we can have all ages shows. And it's like, we're playing an all ages show on the 24th, but until the festival, we don't really have anything in Charlotte. We're going on the road in April with American Theory. I don't know how much of that is fully confirmed or what I can say of that, but even down through the festival, we've got plans in July. I don't even really care to hide it. Like, we're getting to play the big venue in September with Emo Night Karaoke.
Nice.
And I did photography for them when Home for the Day opened in November, and it was like the same vibe of the people that gave us a chance. Like Buck, when I emailed Buck about the Seneca debut and I said, this is how I want to do it and this is how it has to be done, he was just like, you know what, you're crazy, but fuck it. And John, the drummer in the Emo Night band, I talked to him the whole day. And, I did kiss a little ass, and I'm proud of it. It's because now he's giving us the opportunity. I told him what I thought we could do. And he said, you know what? People believed in me when I was younger and gave me shots. So I'll believe in you. And that's, you know, that's all Seneca is, man. It's not like a mission statement. We're not trying to do any. This is just what we've wanted to do, and we're really, really pushing it with all we've got. And seeing, like, you know, the Spotify for artists, I know you've played that game of like looking, checking it every day. You know, half of Weedle's streams, and this is very important to me because I know a lot of people who have had like the fake streams and the bots and everything like that.
Yep.
Half of Weedle's streams have come from Release Radar and Discover Weekly.
That's sick.
They're algorithmic, and like that, knowing that people are listening and saving and listening again, and like it's real. That to me is just like I could never be more grateful. I could never be like more thankful. I could never repay what people have given us, because I could, you know, drop dead tomorrow and look back at what we've done just over these last 13 months. And I'm like, dude, you know, just wow, you know.